The Inside Scoop from Pete Williams, NBC News Justice correspondent, and Ken Delaney, an NBC News intelligence and national security reporter. It is so great to have my two buddies with me.
Our pleasure. Great to be with you. Thanks.
So, first of all, we're now learning that Robert Mueller is a step ahead of everybody. He's been so quiet about this, but with each new name that comes out who was present at that Don Jr. meeting, we are learning that Mueller's people have already contacted these guys.
That's what's really interesting, Andrea. Bob Mueller's team knew the identity of this eighth person at the meeting before the news media learned about it, according to his lawyer, who said he got a call from a Mueller representative over the weekend asking whether this person, Ike Kavaladze, if I'm pronouncing that right, would cooperate. And he's, we're not really sure of the significance of his presence at the meeting. He has a colorful past. He appeared in a congressional money laundering investigation, although he was never charged, and his lawyer said he did nothing wrong. He's a representative of the Agalarov family who requested the meeting. This is a family of oligarchs with ties to Putin. So it's just another layer of intrigue at a meeting that Don Trump Jr. told us he had disclosed everything about last week.
And what Browder was also saying is that this is all about Putin and his friends' money. They want to park their money overseas, but they don't want their money to be at risk of being seized under U.S. sanctions. So, when you talk about following the money, this has been job one for Putin, is to get those Magnitsky sanctions lifted. And any talk that this was about adoptions is just completely folly. Pete, you're here also because you're going to be interviewing John Kelly, the Secretary of Homeland Security, later. And there have been so many issues of visas and waiting for the Supreme Court's final rulings on what the Muslim ban really means and how it's being interpreted. But it's being interpreted in practice in terms of severe vetting, whatever that means.
They call it extreme vetting. So there are really two things here, Andrea. The first is the executive order the president signed, and then the revised one that came out in March that said a hold for 90 days on visa applicants and 120 days on refugees from the 6 designated countries. But beyond that, for all other countries that require a visa to come to the United States, the department has been doing what they call extreme vetting, which is to look much more closely at things like people's social media contact. Remember the 2 people who were involved in the San Bernardino shooting? Right. There's indication that they were expressing pro-ISIS views well before the shooting. So they want to look at social media. They want to look much more closely into their backgrounds. That's already going on, while in the meantime we wait for the Supreme Court to decide whether they're going to grant the government's request to put a hold on the ruling in Hawaii the other day. The federal judge out there who said, you ought to let grandparents and other relatives be exempt as well, and also be more generous in terms of the exemption for refugees from those 6 countries.
And what the court in Hawaii said, as I understand it, is they disagree with the State Department's definition of what a family is.
Yes.
Which said that some in-laws could qualify, but not grandparents, which are...
Grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, they were not covered by the exemption. In other words, they are now, or at least were until the Hawaii judge's ruling, susceptible to, under the executive order. And what the judge said is that doesn't make any sense.
Well, turning back to the Russia investigation for a moment, Ken, what we heard from Senator Grassley and Dianne Feinstein on Judiciary is that Mueller has given them a green light to interview Paul Manafort, to interview Don Jr. in open session, that it won't conflict with any separate investigation. And I don't know what we can infer from that, but we know that they want to keep things clean so that we don't have situations as we did on Iran-Contra where convictions get overturned because they were muddied up by Congress.
That is very interesting because it does suggest that Robert Mueller thinks there are many areas these people can talk about that don't go into their own criminal culpability. They can shed light on meetings, they can shed light on interactions without jeopardizing any potential prosecutions. It doesn't foreclose the possibility, though, that there are areas Mueller asked the Congress to stay away from.
Well, and remember, the only thing that would jeopardize a prosecution is if they get immunity from Congress. They can say whatever they want in open session or to people on the street without jeopardizing the prosecution. It's only if the Congress gives them immunity to testify that it can bollocks up the Justice Department prosecution.
To be continued. A lot you're going to be learning and doing out here in the coming days. Thanks so much.
Our pleasure.
Thanks.
And we'll be right back. You're watching Andrea Mitchell Reports live.